Happy Saturday, everybody. This is Your Questions, Your Money. You know it. We're the Fox Business Network, and I'm Dagan McDowell.
And I'm Tracy Burns, and in this hour, we talk entrepreneurship. America, call us. It is the core of our country. It's what keeps us afloat. And later in this hour, we will put an entrepreneur in touch with a venture capitalist to see if the idea is worth $1 million or more or less or worth anything.
This idea is incredible. You don't want to miss that. We've got an incredible guest, Jeff Crow, with us from Norwest Venture Partners, who's going to be with us for the next couple of hours. So, and of course, we're going to have, you know, the usuals, Dani Babb and John Rutledge. John is dialing in all the way from China, I believe. So pick up the phone and call us, 877-249-9626, or send us an email to yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. But we want to welcome our special guest for the coming hour. While you may not have heard of our next guest name per se, you definitely heard of his products. Doug, the king of infomercials, AJ Kubani and his company Telebrands are responsible for bringing us fan favorites like the Petty Paw and the Easy Comb, and also the Pet Egg. AJ, am I saying it right?
That's
the
right.
Pet Egg.
Pet Egg.
AJ, it's great of you to be here. Incredible. Again, as seen on TV, as seen right now. AJ, is this the best-selling product that you've ever put out in your, how long? More than 20 years.
Yeah, 26 years we've been in business, and so far that's the biggest seller we've ever had. Last year we sold 24 million pieces. Now people don't realize how big the as seen on TV business is, but it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
So what is the as seen on TV business?
This, you know, it's the infomercial business, also called the as seen on TV business. And there's sort of this brand that's gone out into retail stores with the as seen on TV logo, this red logo that says as seen on TV. Now, I designed that logo. I never protected it, so a lot of different companies use that as seen on TV red logo.
You never protected it. We've got so much to explore with how you got into this business, because again, it really just started, your parents immigrated from India, and it started with a paper route, but were you always driven and inspired to go into business for yourself and work for yourself?
I think as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be in business for myself. Starting from delivering papers to cutting grass to shoveling driveways, you know, all kinds of things. And then finally started my own business at the age of 23, Telebrands. I founded Telebrands at the age of 23.
$200,000 as a 25-year-old. That's a pretty nice chunk of change.
Yeah.
So you were doing well back then.
And I was a millionaire by the age of 26. So I did okay for myself.
But AJ, how did you get, where did I guess the initial idea, I know your history, but the initial, because everybody in this environment is thinking, how do I do it? Because I have an idea, I maybe have a little bit of money saved, I have relatives who I can borrow money from, but I don't know where to begin. So where did you begin? What was the first product? Again, how did you put all of this together and know that this was the business you wanted to be in?
Well, the first thing, I had a real interest in the mail order business. I was drawn to mail order catalogs and the TV commercials of that day. Like, for example, in 1969, I went out and forced my mom to buy me a Popeil Pocket Fisherman. You know, I was just drawn to the commercial.
I know the pocket. Mr. Microphone was my personal favorite.
So I think the first thing is you have to be really drawn or very interested in the business, because that's how you're going to pay attention to the details. And when I was just about to graduate college, I got an idea to run an ad for an AM/FM radio with headphones, because that was a big thing back then. You remember the Walkman? They were selling for $50 or $60. Well, this was a Walkman lookalike that I knew I could sell for $10. So I drafted up a print advertisement. And where did I run the ad? I didn't just pick any, you know, magazine helter-skelter. I looked around and saw where the mail order ads were running. And then I thought about, you know, where can I get a good deal on an ad, and where can I get the most bang for my buck? So I bought an ad in the National Enquirer, which back then cost me about $7,000, which may have been a little bit more than I would spend today on a test ad, but it was a lot of money. I had about $20,000 saved up while I was in college, and I used almost more than 1/3 of my life savings to buy this one ad. Now, it wasn't a big risk because I was living at home with my parents, right? So I didn't have any expenses. So I figured even if I blew the $7,000, it wasn't a big deal. But I did my homework, and I ran the ad, and the ad broke even. And I was very grateful that it broke even. But it was a lot of fun, and which encouraged me to keep on going. So very slowly, I kept on trying different things, trying different ads, trying different copy, trying different products, And finally, 2 years later, I turned a profit. 1985, I made $200,000 in profit.
But I think that's the interesting part, to me at least, is that you didn't just stick with one product. All right, the AM/FM radio thing didn't really pan out, so you moved on, and you kept, I mean, look at all this stuff. When did you get to the point that you said, okay, I got to come up with something new, or I got to add to my product line, or I got to drop the one, this is just not working, I'm going to drop it?
Well, that's the big thing that I see, the problem with inventors and people that come up with products today. They get stuck on one product idea. Whether it works or not, they don't move on. You think about
They feel like it's their baby.
You think about Thomas Edison, right? The most famous inventor of all times. How many inventions did he come up with? Well, we know he had 10,000 patents to his name. He didn't just get stuck on one product idea.
Well, that's what we're here for, is ideas, and A.J. Kubani is going to be here with us for this hour. But right now, it's the time, 6 minutes past the hour, to welcome our listeners on Sirius and XM Radio. I'm Dagan McDowell, along with Tracy Burns. This is Your Questions, Your Money on the Fox Business Network.
And these next 2 hours are focused on entrepreneurs, so call us, 877-249-9626. You can always send us an email, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. Please don't do it while you're driving. We are talking right now to A.J. Kubani. He is founder and CEO of Telebrands. Now, you may not know the company, but you certainly know the products, especially if you watch late night TV. The Petit Paw, the Easy Comb. Actually, that always confused me. Get your hair up. I can't do it. And and much more. And he's with us for the next hour to answer your questions.
So get on the phone, call us. But right now, before we go to the phones, we do want to bring you up to speed on kind of the major news happening this day. We want to check in with the Fox News Channel's Major Garrett. He's in Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago, following President Barack Obama as he kicks off his second day at the Summit of the Americas. Major, it's good to see you. I don't pinpoint the biggest news of the day. Is it, just spell it out for us.
Well, the biggest news, Dagan and Tracy, is really this battle of personalities. U.S. officials describe Hugo Chavez, the Venezuelan strongman, as someone who always loves to make a splash and is trying to leverage whatever relationship he can here with President Obama because, of course, the two leaders have never been seen together in the same place at the same time. Well, now twice in the last 2 days they have been. Last night here at Port of Spain at the opening ceremonies, the two leaders exchanged a handshake, and today the Venezuelan leader brought to President Obama a book, a treatise on a century of European and American oppression of South America, which is very well known in this region. But of course, the president is not really interested in talking about the past. He's come here, he said, to talk about the future. And senior administration officials say, you know, if you look at the region, if you look at South America, Central America, the countries that have developed them fastest, have instituted democratic reforms most rapidly and most permanently, are the ones who are not fixated on the old arguments of American or European colonialism, but are integrating themselves in the world economy. And toward that end, the United States is having what are described to me as productive conversations with the Colombians and the Panamanians about free trade. Now, of course, there is a Colombia free trade deal with the United States that's been pending since 2007. The Obama administration has not made that a high legislative or economic priority, but there are behind-the-scenes talks going on here, as well as with the Panamanians, to put together a free trade deal there. I had a long conversation yesterday with Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper, who said the United States really does need to take a leadership role here at this summit to remind everyone about the importance of global free trade. He's extremely worried, the Canadian Prime Minister is, about the moves towards protectionism throughout the globe and even within this region. So trade did not start to be a huge issue here, and it may not end up being something that negotiations are fully consummated here, but the talks are continuing, and the U.S. is not trying to diminish the role of trade here. Of course, during the campaign, then candidate Obama took a much dimmer view of the benefits of free trade, but in the global recession he has seen the lack of exports and import revenue has hurt this region as well as the United States. Dagan and Tracy.
Major, it was great to see you, and thank you so much for joining us here on this Saturday. Major Garrett from the Fox News Channel. And again, why does that matter to you? Not only as consumers in this country, but budding entrepreneurs. If you own a business, again, it is about trading with other nations. That's how you build a business, and that's how we build, well, maybe a better nation.
Yeah, so it's important we keep our doors open. All right, more answers to your questions ahead, so keep those calls and emails coming.
This is Fox Business, the only business network in true HD, even on weekends.
Welcome back to the Fox Business Network. Happy Saturday. I'm Tracy Burns, along with Dagan McDowell.
So happy your face hurts, right? By the end of this 4 hours, my face hurts.
I'm going to get wrinkles from smiling so much.
No, it's because, again, it's about being inspired. We complain so much about what the government's doing, but, you can do for yourself. You can do for your neighbors, your economy, your state, your country by starting a business, running one, growing one. Again, do what you want. Just you have things you're passionate about. Well, harness those. And we've got incredible experts here to answer your questions about all of that. The phone number, again, is 877-249-9626, and the email address is yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. And let's welcome all of our people here this day. Small business expert Dani Babb is joining us. Dani, what's the name of your book?
The Accidental Startup.
The Accidental Startup, thebabbgroup.com. Again, among all of Dani's business ventures. You probably already know the website by heart by now. Dominic Tavella is still with us of Diversified Financial Consultants. We're waiting for John Rutledge. Cross your fingers. He's in China trying to do a little video conference, video connection. We'll see if that works. And then also infomercial master, AJ Kubani. And also with us from California, let's welcome venture capitalist Jeff Crow of Norwest Venture Partners. Jeff, thank you so much for being here. We got a great segment with you coming up, but we just wanted to chat a little bit more with AJ because we're looking at all the products, and I don't have the hands to hold all these products.
All the
I don't have but the pet egg, the petty paw, among the products that are on the market now. But do you yourself come up with all of these ideas, AJ?
No, of course not. I come up with some of them, but a lot of ideas come from inventors, just ordinary people who come up with a good idea. And I have great advice for those kind of people.
But do they approach you?
Yes, they do. They see our TV commercials. They figure out how to get in touch with us, and we get at least a dozen people or more every single day that call our company. But
how do people get in touch with you? People watching right now have a great idea.
Very simple. Just call us in the office, 973-244-0300, or go to our website, telebrands.com, and they can track us down. Very easy.
What are some things that you're looking at when you see these proposals or people calling you? What are some things that our viewers could take home and know that they need to include when they first contact you?
Well, the first thing they should do is do their homework. So many inventors come and see us, and they say, I have this original idea. I said, well, do you really know it's original? I mean, have you Googled the idea, for example? And you'd be surprised how many people don't even do that. And I'll just go on the computer and Google it and say, well, there it is on the market already. It's not an original idea. So first of all, make sure it's original. And if you come up with a really good idea and you want to protect it somehow, don't go spend tens of thousands of dollars to get a patent, because that is really a waste of money if you think about it, because only a fraction of products are commercially viable. But what you can do is file for a provisional patent application yourself at uspto.gov. That's the U.S. government website. It stands for United States Patent and Trademark Office. That's uspto.gov. And file for your own provisional application. It's very easy. Once you have a provisional application, you are now somewhat protected. You don't have a patent, but you can go back and file for a full-blown patent when you know it's commercially viable. So you take that and now start presenting to industry. Now, again, I wouldn't spend a lot of money on a fancy prototype, because a company like me, we're interested in the idea. For example, this school teacher came to us with this idea for this Go Duster. Now,
you just wanted to do that.
It's like the car wash.
Yeah, well, what he did was he just came up with this motorized handle, stuck a duster head on it with some duct tape, and brought it in and said, here's my idea. And that was it. So he spent about $50 for a prototype. We loved the idea. We developed it. We brought it to market. We sold millions of these things, and the inventor made out very nicely. So it was a very smart approach. He didn't spend a lot of money.
AJ,
you would admit, though, inventors, if they could do it on their own, they would make more money than going through you, would they not?
Oh, absolutely. They would make more money, but that takes a lot of know-how. I've been doing this for 26 years, and I figured out how to launch a product like the pet egg, and within 1 year time sell 24 million pieces. Now, you can't say an entrepreneur just getting into the business is going to have the know-how and the connections to move that kind of volume.
A lot of your products are priced at $9.99. If I come to you with a product, should it be along those lines? I shouldn't be coming to you with a product that's going to sell for $100.
Absolutely. Our business model is based on highly impulsive price points.
Right.
and that's usually under $20. And it's been that way since I started 26 years ago. It's been $20 or less.
Because you spend almost just as much on shipping, probably, in order to get the product.
Yes, you do.
Right?
You do. But all of our products are available in retail chains. That's a big part of our business model. We do 90% of our business through retail chains like Walmart and Target and Bed Bath and Walgreens and so on. So you can go to those stores and buy the same product and not pay the shipping and handling.
Let's get an email real quick. Tim wrote in from South Carolina. He owns a small construction company. He says last year our revenue dropped sharply, and we did see the economic downturn coming, and I'm in debt. My question is, are there any government plans to help the small business owner weather the economic downturn quickly? Danny, go to Uncle Sam.
Yeah, you can't. I think the biggest change is, Tim, that you'd only have to have 10% collateral to get a loan today as opposed to 50% collateral. So I think that's the big difference. I would definitely apply. I don't know how much money you need, but I would apply for a loan that maintains your viability. The quick options, of course, would be the Community Express loan, and then if you only need $35,000, I would check out the micro loan. Your sector lost about 450,000 jobs, so no doubt that you have been impacted by this. But there's a bright side, and that is there's a lot of fantastic talent out there. You could pick up on contract, expand your service line, and potentially have some additional business that you didn't have before.
AJ, one thing that we should touch on, too, it hasn't been all gravy for you from the first day that you started the company, and that you personally suffered through a bankruptcy. So, again, what do you tell people who are struggling in this environment?
Well, listen, I've gone broke 3 times in my career, and once I filed for a Chapter 11. And it's not always an easy road. Life is that way, right? Life has its ups and downs, and I think everybody goes through their struggles. My house was foreclosed on. Luckily, I was able to stop the foreclosure. But you have to keep a good attitude, and that's it. You have to keep a positive attitude. You got to be innovative and just try to get through it. You really don't have a choice, you know? Keep a good attitude and get through it.
But it was the ab force that started the whole problem, right? It was because I remember at the same time what was that other thing called? Oh, I'm blanking.
I had two abdominal products I sold in 1996. One was called the Easy Crunch. One was called the Ab Flex.
Yes.
And these were 2 monster hits. They're selling like crazy. We're doing tens of millions of dollars in sales. And all of a sudden, this product comes along out of nowhere called the Ab Roller. And it's this thing like this on the floor.
Yes, that's what I had.
And
it didn't work, by the way.
Overnight, nobody wanted to buy my products anymore. They all want to buy the Ab Roller. So my products just dropped dead. I couldn't give them away. I dropped the price down from $60 to $30 to $20 to $10. At $10, people didn't want to buy them. So, these things happen.
And you've had to tangle with the Federal Trade Commission on more than one occasion, too.
Yeah, we have. We have, and I can say that the government is not always right. We thought we were right in every one of those situations, but we had to deal with a government investigation. We got through that problem, too. We ended up settling everything, and we move on.
And you have to keep focus and believe in your work, which is a perfect example of.
Focus, work, belief, passion. Those are some of the words that we'll be hitting on from the next.
It's inspiring, I think, though.
AJ, thanks.
You're down, you're up, you're down, you're up. You end up at the end because the light shines no matter what happens the next day. All right, more answers to your questions ahead, so keep those calls and emails coming.
This is the Fox Business Network, the only business network in true HD. Even on Saturday, call us about your business. We've got so much more for you straight ahead. This is the pitch, everybody, here on the Fox Business Network. Of course, we're here to answer your questions about your money, but it is time to bring in our venture capitalist for this new segment that we're going to start doing every week. Let's welcome Jeff Crow of Norwest Venture Partners. Jeff, thanks so much for being here. We introduced you at the top of the hour. And Jeff, we should say you're involved in a lot of different businesses, but more on that later. But on the phone right now is Greg Taylor. Greg, we got in touch with you. You got in touch with us. This is about letting you pitch your idea to a venture capitalist to see if he'll give it a thumbs up or maybe not. So I know what your idea is, Greg, but go ahead. Just tell us. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, hi, Dagan and Tracy and Mr. Crow.
Hello.
Yes, sir. My
Go
business,
ahead, pitch your big idea.
Okay. Yeah, my business is basically a tourist and business, live tank driving adventure type of thing that we do here at the ranch, and we are We were in the process of expanding, and of course the economy took a dive, and we are basically kind of idling here right now, and we're looking for some interest in investment.
Okay, but tell us more about it, because I got kids. I got a son who loves this Army stuff, so tell us more about it.
Okay. Well, I've been interested in history and military history particularly, and technology. I work for as a consultant for a museum, large museum in California. And so I got involved in trying to promote and giving people the ability to actually drive a tank and ride in a tank, and we were developing a targeting system that uses lasers, and which you can compete and has a competitive edge to it. And we've had quite a few people come to the ranch to participate in this, but we want to expand it eventually to take in a lot more cross-marketing elements. And we do have the tourism area here in Reno, Nevada, so we...
So this is like this. I'm one of those mothers that pays to have my son and his friends go laser tag each other, kill each other for an hour, and come out. So this is a better version of that. So these kids would get in the tank and just basically play laser tag with the tank.
That's it. You're moving in the vehicle and you're shooting at static targets with the laser, and then it scores automatically, and you get a score at the end of the ride. And
Greg, quickly, how much money do you need to raise, you think, to expand this business? How much are you looking to raise?
What I actually came up with is phasing this in over a period of time, and what we're doing now is trying to acquire more of the vehicles and get them secured, because there's inevitably they're going to disappear from the market, and so we're trying to get the equipment acquired, and I have some vehicles here now.
Okay.
And you always have to have backup equipment for this kind of an activity, where you're always maintaining the equipment, and when you run it quite a bit. So.
Let's hear from Jeff. Jeff Crow, I guarantee you've never heard an idea like this before. What do you think?
No,
Jeff,
I haven't.
what do you think of it, though? And just give him some guidance.
Yeah,
Sure
thanks,
thing.
Jeff.
First of all, I think, Greg, I think this is just a great idea. The whole idea of laser tanks. It's something that I think that people could immediately understand and react to. I've certainly played laser tag with my kids over the years, and I can think of an awful lot of teenage boys who would love to do this, and frankly, a lot of grown-up boys who would love to do this as well.
I would like to do it. What about the girls? Grown-up girls too, Jeff.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. I should be careful. I have 3 daughters myself. They'd love to do it as well. So.
Well, I have quite a few testimonials to how much fun it is. Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Jeff. Give him some more guidance on where to take it from here.
Sure.
Great.
Well, so I would start as a potential investor. I saw that you were interested in raising a few $100,000, maybe starting with $200,000.
Correct.
As a potential investor in something like this, I would want to start to understand what you think you can charge for one person to participate in this activity. I'd really want to understand what your income would look like and compared to your expenses.
Right. Exactly.
That would be the first thing, and just to make sure that you can operate this on a daily basis that you think is profitable. So my first question would be, how are you looking to price this? How much would you charge for someone to ride in it?
Well, that kind of depends on your market. We have there was a precedent set. There was a company in Texas called Tactical Tanks, and they were getting such companies bringing in their groups like Nokia, and they were charging about $1,500 a day per person for their
wow.
And so anywhere,
that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money, but we also we can market to those people as well, the business end of it, and also to the rank and file, the public, the tourists, for less money. And that's what we've been doing right now. Is a few $100s per person, but we're not looking at large volume of people at this time, because basically I'm just I want to keep it low key. I would probably have people ringing the phone off the hook, and we couldn't supply the market at that point. So,
Jeff, what else do you want to know? What else do you need to hear from Greg?
Well, I would like to hear. So the kinds of things an investor would like to know is just could you price it even lower? Could you price it at $100 per ride or something, and really try to open up the volume? How many vehicles do you have, and how many would you need? I didn't get a sense of how many vehicles you have, how many of the tanks you have right now.
We have 3 vehicles now, and we're looking at purchasing another 3 from a vendor in the Midwest, and he's brought these in from Europe, and his prices are actually very reasonable for him, because he's the cost has gone up in importing his vehicles from Europe, so. But
okay, well, I think
that would start out with six pieces of equipment at that point. Yeah.
I think you'd have the right idea, marketing to corporate groups, corporate events.
Right.
Obviously, that business is really challenged right now because of the economy. But I think over the next couple of years, I'm sure that business will come back.
Well, I think
if you could cut your
there'll be some pent-up demand for the recreational aspect of it too, and the adventure.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think so. I think that if you could cut the price of an individual ride down to something lower than a few $100s, you might also be able to bump up your consumer business, because then if it was, say, $100 for a ride or a couple of rides, if you could make money doing that, I think just in the Reno area or the Northern California area, you could start to generate a fair amount of publicity. Nobody's ever heard of anything like this, so I think you could get a lot of publicity for the kind of business, and I think you could generate a lot of demand for it.
There is no competition in this type of thing right now.
Right.
So,
Greg, hey, thanks for calling in, Greg Taylor.
Thank you very much.
Greg, you made me smile. I was just liking watching the video.
Appreciate it.
And Jeff,
thank you, Mr. Crow. I appreciate talking with you.
Sure thing.
And Jeff's going to be here, so if you have questions for Jeff, please, you can get on the horn, call us. You know the number. More answers to your questions ahead about starting or running, growing your business, just being inspired. We're here to inspire you.
Call us, 877-249-9626. You can always email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Your Questions, Your Money on the Fox Business Network. Happy Saturday.
I'm Dagan McDowell. There's Tracy Burns. Let's get right back to answering some of your questions. On the phone is Kevin from California. Kevin, go ahead, ask your question.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call.
Absolutely.
My question is if somebody wanted to become an entrepreneur or buy into a business, what are the best industries and types of businesses to look for right now?
Danny, you keep a list with you at all times. It's like
it's pathetic.
Tucked, no, it's tucked right here. You do. I know.
It's good. Well, first of all, Kevin, you have to do something that you love. So I would start there, and then I would look at the list of things you love and see if it matches something that's being sought after right now. There's 2 major areas: it's education and healthcare. Those are the 2 areas that have very strong growth. And, of course, green energy because of the grants that are being pumped into it. So those are the 3 top areas. But I really recommend that you start with what would you do if you had an hour to kill and you didn't have anything else to do? What would you be doing during that time? That's where I think you should start.
But, AJ, did you sit around and say, okay, I got nothing to do, I'm going to come up with a petty paw or,
I love Amber Vision.
I always love gadgets. That's the thing. I always love gadgets. So that's what drew me into the business. And I completely agree. You have to love what you do. This guy that just called in about the tanks, he probably loves tanks.
Yeah.
And there's probably some way he can make money with those tanks. Maybe he just has to come up with the right business model. But I agree. You have to be passionate about it. Otherwise, you're never going to be good at it.
Jeff, I want you to weigh in here because I was looking at the kind of diverse array of businesses that as a venture capitalist you are invested in or involved with. And I wanted to know what you say. I mean, what are some of the best businesses to get into right now, but also the passion of the people who started those?
Well, I think the passion is critical. I would agree with the other comments that passion is required. There are so many challenges that an entrepreneur faces that they really have to be very excited and passionate about what they're doing. We see all kinds of businesses now, and this has been going on for a few years, being formed in and around the internet, and oftentimes started without necessarily a whole lot of money. One that we got very excited about was where an entrepreneur began to basically arrange for people to get loans over the internet from other individuals. So individuals both lending to one another. And then he started a business called a lending club. He was very passionate about this, and he's got a thriving business today where thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans are basically lending money to one another. And that was an example of where he got that up and started on the internet, and right now it's thriving.
And also, one of your businesses is Coveroo, which they make customized cell phone backs, don't they? And so that seems to me to be a consumer business, but still one that it hits really on the pulse of what's going on in this country.
Yeah.
And that's such a great business, though, because, you know, people don't have a lot of money to spend on stuff, but to personalize a product you already have, it almost seems like a home run. All right, we're going to take an email now. We have Ralph from Boise, Idaho. He's got a question for his wife. He says, my wife would like to start a small business selling new designs of custom crocheted handbags for women. She has looked at government grants, programs. Where should she start?
She shouldn't start with a government program or a grant. First of all, I love this, Ralph, because I was buying, if my husband's listening, just turn this off, okay? I was buying these crocheted headbands by like the 30 or 40 of them at a time when I had long hair, when I was lazy. And I'm telling you, this lady in Wisconsin had a thriving internet business. It took her $200 to get it up and running, and she only accepted PayPal or mailed-in checks. You don't need a lot of money to start a business like this. If she wants to crochet the handbag, she needs to get a couple of prototypes, put them on the web, start getting some testimonials, use a template, which you can buy from templatemonster.com. Get a template, put it up there, go to hostgator.com to get your website. It's about $15 a month for a hosted site with your own SSL certificate, a secured socket layer certificate to keep the site protected. It doesn't take much money. Just find the $200 or $300 and go for it. It's awesome.
Hey, Jay, you want to weigh in here?
Yeah, I completely agree. When you start a business, you don't want to invest a lot of money until you have a business model that's working. So really minimize your upfront investment. You know, when we start any new project, when we first came up with the Petty Paws, we don't go invest millions of dollars right away. We invest just a small amount of money to test market it, and then if the test market works, we expand, invest the money later. So test market any new idea.
But could she she should be test marketing these things at like church fairs and local
flea markets,
things like that, right? Get it out there that way.
Do you trust your friends and relatives, though? Because I mean, the issue is they'll lie to you.
You got to get it into the market.
Dani's shaking her head. Will they lie to you?
Yes.
They'll lie
Mine will.
like crazy. Yeah, well, my parents wouldn't, but everybody else would. You know, there's after you get a few of them out there, what I would do is I'd send them to some random people. I'd put it on Twitter. If anybody wants to see my product, I'd like, in response, just please take this quick survey. Go to surveymonkey.com, create a quick survey, 10 questions, have them answer what they liked, what they didn't like, how easy it was to buy, how easy it wasn't to buy, and then there you go. You've got your test market.
On the phone, we have Doreen from Oregon. Doreen, go ahead. What do you want to know?
Yes, I have come up with a great new product. It's an eco-children's product. And we have our website, and we're ready to advertise and promote, but I'm just trying to see what is the best venue for advertising. Would it be magazine ads or radio? What would be the best way to spend our dollars?
AJ, I want to start with you because, again, television, but you can see the world of media.
Well, television is more expensive. I would start with a print ad, a small print ad. You know, depending on your budget, you can start out with from a classified up to a display ad, and test it and see how it does. You know, invest a few $100s or maybe $1,000, and then gauge the response on the internet and see how many hits you get based on that.
But does she even have to go that route, Jeff? I mean, like, I had kids. You buy anything that if it's eco-friendly for your kid, bring it to play groups, bring it to parties, try to sell it, you know, your kid's little soccer game on the sidelines. Couldn't she get it out there that way?
Sure, you could do that. I mean, I think there's different ways. You could try grassroots marketing, as you just said, where you're really trying to do it and start to spread the word of mouth locally. I think that would be an excellent idea. I think there are also very, very cost-effective ways to try to place some inexpensive ads on the internet or onto various kinds of websites. There's targeted websites where moms come on to look for content, and they could see ads. You could place ads that way as well.
Couple of really quick ideas, Doreen. First
You're a
of all,
font of knowledge. That's why I saved you for last.
First of all, Doreen, create a little graphic, just either banner ad or a small graphic, and use it as an affiliate so that it links to your site. Now go to a bunch of other websites where people that would buy your product go, and offer to exchange ads with those people. You put their ads on your site, they put your ad on their site, and cross-promote each other for free. A lot of people will do it. I do it with people all the time. It makes sense for your business partners. Go where your clients go. If you're really going to advertise in print, find out what they're reading, first of all. But you can also use Google AdWords, and you can set the threshold of how much you're willing to pay, not only per month, but per impression and per word. And that's adwords.google.com. And then blog the heck out of this, tell people about it, and try to look at other distribution channels, like selling. Some of my products I end up selling through eBay because they just already have the distribution channel, and it makes sense. But I would get the word of mouth out there through online advertising first and foremost.
You said it.
New young moms, they'll buy anything. Get it out there.
Again, like the hot areas, like anything that's
eco-friendly, and it's going to save your baby's life.
I like how you say it and I say it. Again, Jersey,
yeah,
Virginia.
Eco-friendly, that hard C.
Eco-friendly. Tracy's here to translate for me.
Or vice versa. All right, we still have plenty of time for your calls and your emails. 877-249-9626. Email us your money at foxbusiness.com.
The next hour, again, more on starting, running, growing your own business. A tea entrepreneur who has expanded into the world of beauty. The two go hand in hand. How? We will find out. Stay with us. Call us. We're here for you. This is the Fox Business Network. We are open for business on Saturdays. I'm Dagan McDowell, along with Tracy Burns, and my little guy here, Ramon. You can see him right below. Ramon, stand up. Hi, Ramon. Say hi. We're here answering your questions about your money. But again, we have the man behind. Hi, buddy.
Yes, we do. We got to
the man behind the
John
petty.
Rutledge.
Yeah. And also the man behind the petty.
Well, that's why the dog's here.
Again, John,
Look,
go ahead.
There he is. Hi, John from Sky.
Hey, how you doing? And hi, Ramon.
Ramon says hi.
John's in China. John, how's it going out there?
Oh, it's awesome. I'm in a place called Haikou, which is an island just to the south of China off the Vietnamese coast. We have 14 presidents or prime ministers of countries here talking about Asian policy. So we've got Wen Jiabao, the premier of China. We've got the head of the Social Security Fund, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, the president of Pakistan. We've got the president of Iran, of all places. And it's awesome. But the coolest thing is we've got almost 1,000 entrepreneurs from all over Asia. Wow. And what I want to tell our viewers is they are in exactly the same boat you are. They're afraid of the economy. They've decided to do something about it and start their own companies, and they are just ready to blow and go. So you've got entrepreneurs all over the world.
John, you're amazing, and it sounds like a boring little afternoon for you out there, by the way. I don't know what you're going to do. There's not enough energy out there for you.
But getting to have conversations with some of these leaders, they're working pretty hard to make sure the economies are coming back. And by the way, the Chinese economy is starting to come back now in a positive direction, which I think will be a big help for people who want to sell stuff and exports out of the U.S.
All right, I was clearly being facetious. All right, but we have an email for you. We have Howard from Colorado. He's got a question about doing business in China. He says he wants to purchase water generators from China. He doesn't know the first thing about dealing with Chinese manufacturers. So his question is, where do I start to find good advice on doing business in China? And so he's asking you.
There are many books you can buy over at the B. Dalton on this exact subject. The problem is you've got strangers at the end. When you're dealing with someone very, very far away, it's hard to know whether they're going to cheat you or not. So the way I like to do it is to find a trusted intermediary. I have a person that I use for very large companies, and there's another one I know very well whose name is Stacy Lee, who helps smaller companies in the U.S. to go between manufacturers in Asia and here. The problem is it costs a little bit of money to do that. It costs a few $1,000s a month in order to have someone who goes into the factories, checks the output, and makes sure it works just right. So it's tough to do on a very, very small scale.
John, quickly, I want to know about the attitude toward America and Americans and American business people in Asia, and just, I mean, the willingness and openness to continuing to do business with us.
Well, I heard you, Dagan, at the top of the show when we talked about Obama having a visit with our friend to the south in Venezuela. We had here a man who calls himself first president of Iran. He was very similar, blamed everything on America, but he's only one out of 15 governments that are here. All of the other ones really look up to America as the example of free enterprise. In fact, we had tonight President Bush here with us, who was talking about economic freedom and political freedom. These people have a very positive attitude about America. They love Americans. They love to do business with us, and are hoping our economy and theirs gets back on track very soon.
All right. Well, part of the reason Ramon is here is because we have entrepreneur A.J. Kubani here, who created Petty Paws.
Petty Paw.
Which we make in China, by the way.
So that's what brings me to, I was going to ask you next, how do you deal with overseas China and such?
Well, first of all, China is very willing to continue to do business with the United States and countries all around the world. That's how they get all of their revenue. You know, they're great to deal with. It's very important that you find the right manufacturer, because there's all different qualities of manufacturers. You can find a factory that makes junk, or you can find factories that do really well and make very high-quality products. One thing to do is look at their rating. There's a rating system called ISO. If you have an ISO 9000 rated factory, they're known to have certain quality control procedures in place. And the other thing, of course, is to get references. Who else are they making products for? Are they making products for other major consumer products companies in the United States? You know, name brand companies that make quality products that you know and trust. So those are the two most important things.
How did you break into China?
I started doing business with the Far East for my very first product. My father started importing radios from Japan in the 1960s.
Which was your first product.
That's right.
The AM/FM.
So it was through my father who started doing business there in the 1960s.
AJ, before Ramon leaves, when you develop ideas, how much right now are you focused on a market, which, again, pet care, pet goods, hot market, people are still willing to spend their money on their animals. Do you focus on those before you even come up with the idea? Does it matter?
Well, I'll tell you, with the Doggy Steps, we found out, which we launched a few years ago, that there's a tremendous demand for products for pets. So if you read recently, it's something like a $40 billion industry and growing like crazy as empty nesters are looking for companionship. So, we are really focused on pet products. The Petty Paws, we did something like $120 million in business in the first 6 months with the Petty Paws. So we're out there looking for the next hot pet product. It's a growing segment, a very hot segment. And we think if we come up with an impulsive, low-priced product in this economy, people will go for it.
People will spend anything on their animals. Say bye, Ramon. Say bye, buddy. Say bye. Bye. Ramon's going to take off, everybody. Bye, bye, buddy. He's been very, very good before he has an accident on the set. Let's take a quick break. We're talking about starting your own business and growing one. We're going to get to your questions coming up. 877-249-9626. Bye, buddy. Say bye.
You can email them.
Bye.
You can email Ramon while you're at it. yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. And if you have to run an errand, you can still listen to us on Sirius Channel 145 or XM Channel 168. We're here for you on a Saturday. Only Business Network and True HD. We'll be right back.
Okay, buddy. I know you want to go.
Happy Saturday. I cannot believe it's almost 1 o'clock. Time flies. This is the Fox Business Network. We're taking your questions about your money.
The phone number is 877-249-9626. The email address, again, is yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. Jim is on the phone from California. Jim, go ahead. What do you want to know?
Yeah, I have a small consulting firm in Orange County, and I'd like to sell it. And I need some information on how to evaluate the firm.
Like get it appraised, put a value on it? Jeff, do you want to? Jeff, do you want to take that? Like, how do you go about putting a value on a business? That's critical to what you do.
Sure thing. Yeah. Well, I mean, first off, I think there are folks in your area who, for a living, would appraise businesses. But the way we would appraise a business is we'd obviously look at the revenue, the profitability, your client base, and what's the ability of an acquirer to come in, basically assume your client base and keep going with your income stream. So we'd basically value it off of that.
Dani?
I would just, I think John would probably be the best person to answer this question, but I just one really quick anecdote, and that is I've seen people get burned by trying to appraise it themselves. So you're doing the right thing by using an external firm because you don't want to have anything, not be completely accurate in the assessment of the business. So, but I think John could probably add some good value here.
John Rutledge from China.
Sure. Well, I had breakfast this morning with the head of the Social Security Fund here and 30 venture capital and private equity managers. And what we're talking about here is how private equity guys do their business, how you establish a value to a company. What they'll do is go into the company, put together a projection of that company's ability to make cash profits in future years, add up those profits over the next 5 years or so, figure out at what return they could pay a price for that business, and more or less, in good times, that'll amount to about 6 times this year's operating cash flow, which is cash profits for a business. The problem is, in this particular year, the economy is so bad and there's such a credit shortage that private equity guys are being inundated with requests for money. So their meter has gone up in terms of the rate of return they want to collect out of a deal. That means the multiples of the business profit have gone down, just like the stock market has gone down. So a simple business that doesn't have a lot of growth in it in a market like this probably today only trades for 4.5 times the last year's cash flows, in a good year 6 times, and in a crazy year 7 times. But this is a tough time to sell a business.
Let's get a quick question.
All right, Kevin has a question about small business rescue. Where are the sources of refinancing for the troubled farmers or small business owners? Where can one find help in negotiating business loan terms? And I know, Dani, you got this one down.
Oh, man. Okay, first of all, go to the Department of Agriculture because they have tons of information on their website about how to survive in this marketplace and how to get a refinance, which banks to go to, and so on. And they're updating their information daily. I visit the site myself almost every day, and they've got a lot of information out there. But also check out the ventureblog.com, which has information about this particular topic, and check out the gobignetwork.com. All three have excellent resources for you.
AJ, before you take off, any final words of advice or inspiration for folks out there?
If you're going to start your own business, like I did, don't invest a lot of money until you know that your business model works. Just like you were saying about testing something on the internet, maybe exchanging, blogs and stuff like that. Just figure out that your business model is going to work before you expand, and then expand carefully. Just don't jump in with everything that you own, and also make sure that you have enough money left over for your living expenses. Just don't blow everything. People do that like a gambling spree sometimes and spend everything and end up destitute. I've seen that happen to lots of people who are trying to start their own business.
But I think one of the great points that you made was don't be married to your product either. I mean, if it's not working, move on or come up with something new. I think a lot of people look at their invention as their baby, and they don't want to let it go. And sometimes you have to.
That's right. Don't fall in love with your product. Don't fall in love with your business concept because it may not work. You have to be willing to let go if it's not working and move on to something else.
We need to move on. But AJ Kubani, thank you so much for being here.
So
Stay
wonderful.
with us, everybody. So much more. One more hour to go. You better get on the horn and call us. More ahead. We are rolling on with your questions, your money, and your business. I'm Dagan McDowell. Tracy Burns is here. as well. We want to hear from you. This hour, again, we're talking about stimulating the economy all by ourselves by starting, running, or growing your business.
That's right. You don't need those stinking government. Put down that cup of coffee and call us, 877-249-9626. You can always email us, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com.
And our special guest this hour, the founder and owner of Salon Tea, Tracy Stern, is joining us. Tracy sold her loose tea blends online and in boutiques and other retail stores. And her business has grown so much that she recently opened her first tea shop right here in New York City. She does a lot more than just tea. Tracy, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
You literally, but there was something that we hit on in the last hour. Again, it's about your passion. It's about something that you feel strongly about. And you were basically cooking up teas in your own kitchen for years. But what took you from just being a tea drinker and a tea lover to being a businesswoman?
That's a great question. Since when I was a child, I was having tea parties, and I grew up, I collected tea, I did brew tea, but I knew it was something I was always passionate about, and I knew that someday I could make it a business. And as soon as I finished collecting my last teapot in in college, I opened up my first tea room in Tampa, Florida. And it was all the recipes I've had, it's all the teapots I collected. And instead of opening my home, I actually created a space where I can open it up and have people come in and try the blends of tea and see tea as a lifestyle.
Tea's becoming more and more of the thing to do. You know, it used to be let's go for coffee. Now more and more people going for tea. I, for one, have given up coffee, no more caffeine. I drink a lot of tea. But there's so many teas out there. What would make you wake up one day and say, I can make a better tea, and I know some people will come to get it?
That's something interesting, because I feel, and with the book that just came out this week that I just launched, it's called Tea for You. I'm actually giving all my secret recipes, or just the confidence that you can go and blend your own tea. If you know you like an herbal tea and you have extra rose petals or lavender or lemongrass, whatever herbs you have in the house or in your garden, I will help you create your own blends. And it's very easy, it's simple. I mean, tea, all you need is water and a good real tea, and that's it. You get the health benefits, and you get to explore and actually bake, cook, use it as an herb. There's so many benefits and ways to use tea.
And you've come up with ways, and you've actually, it's not about just tea. This is a lifestyle brand. Again, you have beauty. There's beauty. And you also, you have the bottled tea. Is this coming out? Is this coming out later this year? Is this when you're launching this? This is already on the market?
No, that's not on the market. But as I was listening to your show prior to when I came on, I opened the tea store, and I know I have them all formulated. I have 13 lines, 13 different blends of tea. 7 are for the signature line and 5 for the beauty. But I test marketed it with the customers that came in. And I know that the Artist is one of the best-selling teas. It's a white tea with ginger. I know the Lover is our top seller. That's a chocolate chai tea. And then the other, so for the SKUs, I know which ones to create because I know it's the best seller in the tea salon. And so those will be out in June.
But I mean, teas, to me, almost like becoming a home builder these days. There's a ton of teas, ton of homes, and yet you still pursued. I mean, I think a lot of people out there will say, well, I have this great idea, but there's so many of them out there already. What advice do you have for them to just say, go for it?
Well, I say have confidence in what you're doing. If you love it, you can make everyone love it. Because when you're bringing your friends to the house and you're serving them tea, you get to explore their preferences. When I do shows, I actually have to go through the whole line with different customers and retailers. We sell internationally, so I'm selling in Paris, and I know the items that I sell in Paris might not be the items that I sell at Harvey Nichols in Dubai. So I know the different clientele. You have to know your clientele. And you give them, specific, but you can, I wing a lot of it, to be honest with you.
Sweet.
Tracy,
That's
you can see the world in your business. How is business? How is the world?
The world is a big place. Everyone's open for tea. I know that there's a recession, and I've been told this is the worst time to open my tea salon. I've only opened it for 3 weeks now, the new one in New York City. But I was told by so many people, venture people, business people, they say, you didn't go to school for business, you went to school for art. Please take my advice. Do not open now. Wait another year. you have to pay for a lease, this and that, all the business things that you've been told. I said, I'm sorry, this is the best time, because in a recession, where is someone going to go to feel happy? I have a disco ball. It's a great place. You're going to get...
Tracy, I'm not laughing at you, but that's the best thing I've heard all day.
But you know what? You probably got a great price on your lease.
I absolutely did.
Tea is not an expensive product. Even if I'm broke, I would still love to go have a nice cup of tea in a fabulous environment.
It's a fabulous setting. It's a party 24. I mean, when I open the door, there's a disco ball going. This music is playing. It's colorful, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and you bring a friend, and for $2.50, you can have a cup of hot tea in an elegant setting.
That's
Tracy,
fabulous.
Stay right there. It's 6 minutes after the hour, and time to welcome our radio listeners who are tuning in on Sirius and XM. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Dagan McDowell, along with Tracy Burns.
If you have a question about starting your business, coming up with the idea, just anything entrepreneurial, call us, email us at yourmoney@foxbusiness.com, or get on the phone, call us 877-249-9626. We have a fabulous panel, and we were just joined right now by Tracy Stern, founder of Salon Tea. We also have small business consultant Dani Babb. She knows everything there is to know about getting money.
Author of The Accidental Startup, among many ventures in this woman's very young life.
Absolutely. Dominic Zavella of Diversified Financial Consultants. And, of course, from California, we have venture capitalist Jeff Crow of Norwest Venture Partners. And all the way from China on Skype is John Rutledge of Rutledge Capital Partners. So call us.
We have a call on the phone. Maria from Georgia has dialed in. Maria, go ahead. Ask your question. Hey, Maria, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Maria, go ahead. Go ahead, Maria.
Okay. We offer insurance licensing classes for prospective agents. And, you know, they have to, there is hours required to sit for the state licensing exam. And so my question is, how best can we market these classes?
Agents of what? What are the
insurance agents? Insurance agents, Maria?
Agents?
Yes.
You know what I would do? I would find out where these people are going online and where they're going for their actual exams, and I would start there with marketing. I would jump into those particular market spaces, jump into the blogs, forums, etc. that people are using to talk about this. Tell them about your product. Have people jump in that have used it before, that have testimonials that can attest to what kind of service and so on you're providing. And honestly, I would start there. There's, you know, for example, when I became a licensed realtor, I had 15 options on where to take a test. And part of it was, rather than going by what the National Association of Realtors said, I went by what the other people in blogs were saying about what would get me through the quickest and what would allow me to recertify later on when I wanted to. That's where I would start.
Dominic, you wanted to hop in?
Yeah, just as an add-on to that, I would literally knock on the door of the agencies. They have a very powerful motivation in getting these new agents licensed as quickly as possible and out on the street selling. Knock on their doors and say, listen, this is what we can offer. This is how we can train your agents. This is how we can get them started quicker.
John, do you want to weigh in here? Because again, you can kind of see you can see the world. You're on the other side of the world. Any advice?
I agree with Dominic. You know, Dagan, the first thing you need when you're running a business is a customer who's willing to pay you money for what you want to do for them. And so I want to get out there as fast as possible and try and find that customer to find out what it is that I can then duplicate and leverage across a large group of customers. And you've got to get on the street to do it. You've got to get the licensing, but do it fast.
Let's get to an email. Diane has a basic question about marketing other people's products and services. I've created and have ideas of events and promotions to promote other people's products and businesses. Is it okay to do this? And we aren't breaking the law to offer what we can do in our communities and help the businesses around us with these skills, knowledge, and creativity that we have. Again, get in here, Tracy, because are you open to, I guess, ideas from other people? Are you willing to pay other people for their marketing ideas?
I think that's a fabulous idea, and I think that people have to think outside the box. Instead of just doing the traditional method, I think you also have to host an event that actually brings everyone to you and then offer them something, perhaps a tea, and then get into the real business of it.
Dani, is there opportunity? Is there a business around helping sell somebody else's business?
Yeah, there is, particularly if you have a site that has, like a website, for example, that gets a lot of hits. There is a lot of money in that. There's actually companies you can go to and add to that. The one that comes to mind is actually it's slipping my mind, but I'll have it later on. The first thing I would do, though, is you're not going to get in any trouble doing this. You can promote whatever the heck you want. But what you should definitely do is make sure that you're not having reviews on your site that are bogus. This has become a really big problem with online reviews of hotels and restaurants and so on, where the owners or people that have a stake in it are going online and they're writing up fake reviews. And people are using IP addresses to track them back and find out that it was actually the owner sitting from his own house that was creating a fake review. That's where you're not going to get into trouble, but your credibility is going to drop, and that's something you want to hang on to.
I can't believe I just asked you that question. I was like, is there a business in selling? I was like, that's what the advertising and marketing business is. But I think she was talking about a one-off basis.
Jeff, if someone comes to you with a business plan, do you want to know their marketing plan as well? I mean, it's got to be more than just about the product. It's got to be about how you're going to sell it, how you're going to get it out there.
Oh, in fact, I think that's just as critical as the product itself is how you're going to sell it and market it. And so the go-to-market plan, is the way we call it, is oftentimes even more important than the product, because it can be so inexpensive to create a product today. And the key thing is how to figure out what distribution channels you're going to use, how you're going to price it, how you're going to convince customers to buy it. So yeah, that's front and center for the first thing that we look at when we're looking at a business plan.
And my brain came back to life, thankfully. The name of the site is Commission Junction, so check that out. It's a place you can make a lot of money by just pulling down some banner ads and popping them on your site.
But I think people miss this whole marketing thing. I mean, I know when I wrote my first book, the book was almost irrelevant. The publisher wanted to know, how are you going to sell it? What's your platform? I mean, it almost didn't even matter what was between the cover. It was all about getting it out there. How are you going to get it out there? And I think that's, Tracy, you could probably attest to that. It's more than just the tea.
It's more than just the tea, and the biggest part is getting out there. Not just getting the product out there, but you personally have to be the name and the face of your brand. You have to go out, you have to network. I'm out after I put my children to bed, I am out the rest of the week in New York City. I'm with Society, I'm with the fashion group. Now everyone in New York City knows about me, the tea, and that's about bringing people together. That's how I got on Oprah magazine. I mean, all the press that I have is worth millions of dollars, and that's only because of the connections I've made by going out.
And networking.
It's called hustle.
It's networking.
It's called hustle.
Sure is.
Right. I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way.
No.
I mean, it's about just gumption.
You got to pimp your stuff.
I started my company in '84 and literally out of a spare bedroom out of my house, okay? And the first thing I did is I sat down and who is my customer? Who do I want to attract? Who do I enjoy working with? Who's the kind of client that someday I want to be part of my practice? And so you have to define who your target market's going to be. You got to start right there. And if you don't understand who your market is going to be, I don't think you're going to be successful.
So much more ahead in the next little more than 45 minutes on your business, growing it, running it, making it just fabulosity. That's Liz Clayman's word. This is a 45 minutes of fabulosity here on the Fox Business Network.
Straight from Beverly Hills, 877-249-9626. So call us. You could always email us yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. Remember, this is the only business network here on Saturdays, awake on Saturdays, happy and in True HD. Happy Saturday. This is the Fox Business Network. We're awake and we're fired up. I'm Tracy Burns along with Dagan McDowell, and we want to hear your questions about your money, your entrepreneurial questions about your businesses as well.
Let's call this Your Questions, Your Business.
Oh.
We're talking specifically about starting a business, running it, growing it, being an entrepreneur, being inspired, growing this economy one job at a time, one business at a time. The phone number, 877-249-9626. The email, yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. And speaking of email, Joe wrote in from the British Virgin Islands. I run a charter business, day sailing and snorkeling in the British Virgin Islands. I need to purchase a larger boat to accommodate the growing cruise ship market. The banks down here will not loan against a boat because it's a movable asset. Any ideas on raising up to $1 million for this type of boat? Also, how do I target these cruise ship guests via the internet besides our website and without having to advertise on specific search engines? 2 parts, one funding. John Rutledge is in China, across the sea. But, John, do you have any insight into how he would go about borrowing the money or funding the purchase of this boat?
Sure. Well, you know, Dagan, the first thing is in the current market with the credit as tight as it is, I don't think anyone is going to loan you the money at a rate you want to pay. But there's good news. There are a lot of people who own big boats who wish they didn't own big boats and don't want to run them. You can go to those people, which is the leasing market, and basically take on their boat on spec and split the profits from your business with them. So you're getting seller financing on the boat. But I would want to run my business with the other guy bearing the risk of owning the boat and me getting the benefit of taking the revenues.
You know, just to jump off something John said, if you wanted to buy new, vendors have killer lines of credit right now with amazing interest rates, so that's another option. If you're trying to do person-to-person, I would check out Virgin Money, huge fan of their website. The other part of this question was how to advertise and tell people about it. You know, I would jump on fan sites, and you may have to pay a little bit for advertising. Find out what other people are doing that has something. What's the complementary good to yours, and then advertise on their sites. That's a pretty good way to get your name out there.
You know, I just came off a island adventure, and
where were you?
Turks and Caicos, beaches. If you're a family, you gotta go. You gotta go. I loved it. All right. So, but it seems to me that the boats, you know, you can go on these little day cruise ships and stuff. They kind of team up with the hotels. So isn't that's probably a really good way, Tracy, right, to do it? Find somebody else. You can kind of tag team along. They have their, you know, the hotel guests come in. They say, hey, why don't you take this cruise? We split it.
I was thinking that you have to really actually get out of where you are in your business, walk there, make a personal, interpersonal relationship, walk up to the hotel, line up the whole hotels for the day, say I'm hitting every hotel, I'm offering my services, we'll co-partner, I'll pick up your people. I mean, that's instant business. Those hotels are suffering just as much. And if you partner and parlay together, that's how you make things happen.
Right, and they have no shame. Exactly, pimp yourself.
Guts.
But they want their guests to have a great time. If you offer a great service, it's a win-win all around.
And you can show them by taking the people or management of the hotel out.
Do we have time for a call? Okay. We're going to take a break, a quick break. Call us. We've got so much more to cover. We want to, you know, let this breathe, have some time. So we're just going to, you know, pay some bills. And a shout out to our radio listeners on Sirius Channel 145, XM 168. Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back. A big howdy to anybody who's listening and watching. I'm Dagan McDowell, along with Tracy Burns.
Love that. That's the best part of the show.
I had to throw one out. I'm sorry.
It's the best part of the show. And it generally comes around this time.
It's in honor of my roots.
All right, we got to get right to the phones. We have a call from John in New York. Hey, John, what's your question?
I recently incorporated, and I wanted to know the best way to start a business line of credit.
So you recently incorporated, and now you're looking for a line of credit?
Yes.
Okay, first go to the bank that you already do business with personally. That's the first thing I would do. That's what I did myself. Make sure that you get that the incorporated company gets its own employee identification number, so you're not using your own social security number and you're keeping them separate. If anything happens, you're late on anything or you need more lines, it doesn't affect your personal credit score. And then, so check out your own bank first that you already have a relationship with. And then when you're done with that, go to the SBA, who has a list of banks that are working with them today to establish a line of credit. Usually they're going to want to know what you're going to do with it. So just to get a general line, a lot of people take that out against their home. But if you're trying to separate it and put it on the corporation, I would first go to the bank that you're already working with personally.
Tracy, how are you funding? How did you fund the growth? And again, what were some of the, I guess, hurdles to opening up the tea salon? Because again, you have this vast wholesale tea business.
Yes, well, if we go back a little further, right after college, I started that tea room in Florida. And I went to a friend that was in a bank, and he extended a line of credit for me, which I paid out, and after being in business for a couple of years, I then went and sold the company. So I had money from the sale that I brought back to New York. That's what started the small business of e-commerce. I did the website. I created a whole proprietary tea line. I went into the City Club Hotel. I just walked into this hotel. I knew it was high-end, luxury and small, and I said, I can do an afternoon tea. I noticed in your lobby you have dead space. No one's there from 2 to 5. I said, I could be making you money by serving an afternoon tea. I remember watching Martha Stewart, and instead of bringing a pie that was already baked, I brought a 3-tiered, all the finger sandwiches, scones, cottage cream. I poured the hot tea for the owner of the hotel. He said, you're in. You don't have to pay me rent. You don't have to pay electricity. Just come here. I'll get a percentage of the business, and I'll even give you all the rooms if they want to order room service. And that was like such a gift, but I wouldn't have gotten it if I didn't go out there and made a great presentation. Then the wholesale business started picking up. That was able to partially fund the store, and then you always have friends that want to help, and that's nice too.
Jeff, I mean, you're in the business of coming up with money all the time, and we've heard, you know, that venture capitalism hasn't been the best place to be these days. How are you finding money flow and as far as an opportunity these days?
Well, we're actually seeing just as many entrepreneurs come forward looking to get their companies funded these days. I actually think it's a very interesting time, perhaps a very good time to start a business. And this may seem counterintuitive, but certainly out here in Silicon Valley, you can find employees, rents are cheap, and if you can hone your idea to your customers, your value proposition to your customers such that you can really be selling in this environment, then when the economy starts to take off, whenever that is, your business will be in a position to take off. So we actually think this is perhaps a very opportune time to be starting a business. And therefore, we're really looking very, very aggressively at new business ideas right now.
But is it a good time to be a venture capitalist?
Well, actually, I think it's a good time to be making investments. Yes, again, because the valuations, I mean, the valuation expectations on the part of the marketplace are lower.
Right.
And so, if you have capital to invest, I think it's a good time to be investing. So the answer is yes.
John, do you have some wise words from Asia for this man who wrote in about getting credit, a line of credit for his business?
Well, first of all, it's a huge time to be an investor because you've got the entire menu at your disposal at bargain prices. Private equity guys make all of the money for a decade in 2 of the 10 years, and these are the 2 years. But if I were talking with John in New York over a beer, I would first of all say, John, in my experience, I want to do my business with as little money as possible and as little credit as possible. Every time you take somebody's dollar, you're either going to pay them back that plus interest or that plus an equity stake in your business. I like the idea of learning how to shave on the other guy's beard, which means I can get as much money as possible from the vendors of the stuff that I'm buying to sell in my business, and I can get as much money as possible from the landlord and the other people I'm doing business with before I go out and raise credit. So I'd want to know what the business is, who the vendors are, what people you're dealing with, and try and take advantage of them as much as possible and take as little credit as possible.
John, Dani is shaking her head over here in the States.
Sorry, John. You know, first of all, I agree with the part about, you know, go use all your other potential avenues of resources first. But here's the thing. In the email, it specifically said equity line. And I think a lot of people today are looking to equity lines as a backstop. I had a conversation with a young lady last night who's looking at equity lines, and she doesn't want to take the money out right now. She just wants to know that it's there in case she goes broke. And I think that it's important for people to feel like they've got that buffer, and if it's not in cash, it may as well be in credit. So.
Just to expand on John, don't be afraid to knock on doors like Tracy did. Don't be afraid. You don't need cash to knock on somebody's door and say, let's co-partner in some kind of venture. I'll help you, you help me. We can barter. There are a lot of tools out there than thinking you need $1 million to start a business.
Let's get an email. Ranjit from Vancouver has a question about small business loans. He said, I'm 25 years old. I own a property in Vancouver, have $70,000 in cash, and I am in the last year of my MBA. I'm thinking about a fast food franchise business, but it would cost me $480,000. I'm a little afraid to get a business loan. How should I plan this. Any suggestions, Dani?
Yeah, I wouldn't be afraid to get the business loan, but I would just do it not under your own personal credit so that you're not damaged if something goes wrong here. The fast food industry and in general, you know, I have like the top 8 food trends here. Fast food's on the top 8, so that's not a bad place to be, particularly in a recession, but you're going to want to position yourself so that when we're not in a recession, you've still got customers. So consider the expansion component of that. Also, you know, you sound like you're pretty interested in doing a franchise. Look at what the other options are as well, the alternatives to that. Maybe even being the competitor to this particular company that you are interested in.
Tracy, you opted to not go the franchise route at all.
Well, actually, I am in the franchise route, and I've been working on it for several years with financing and business plans and venture people. But I decided I'm shaving everything off, and I'm starting my own franchise by myself with my own money, because I realized throughout all the plans that I was shown in raising the big money and giving equity away, and I knew that I could do it on a small scale. So instead of the 1,200 square foot model, I opened 385 square feet in New York today. And I did it myself. I did the build out. I looked at, I went to IKEA instead of having the custom build. So I created my first franchise. I have a franchise group already set up in Florida where they're selling it and doing discovery days, but I took the model one step lower and organically started it.
John, do you like franchises? Because again, it's kind of all set up for you if you buy it, but what about the risk and the cost-benefit analysis somebody needs to do to figure out if that's what the route they need to go?
Well, Dagan, there are actually books and forms you can buy that take you through the arithmetic of how to do franchises, but our friend in Vancouver, the first thing I would do is kneel down. You're 25 years old. You own property. You've got $70,000 in cash. Say, thank you, Lord. You're in a very strong position compared to most people in the market today. Regarding franchising, most important to me is to look in the mirror and understand yourself. Do you want to take a big bet to try and capture control of an organization and build something after your own DNA? In that case, you're not a person who's going to be happy being a franchisee. You're going to want to have your own business. But if you're a person who wants a small business, don't like to take a lot of risk, and like a lot of the things looked after for you, you're going to give up a lot of the upside to take a franchise, but you'll end up with a lot fewer headaches. So you have to figure out what kind of person you are to know how you'll fit. Go around town and talk to the guys in your town who are franchisees and ask them how they like it. There'll be 10 of them in your town.
John, we got to leave it there for now, but we're not leaving you. We've still got a little less than a half an hour. Keep the phone calls and emails coming. We'll be right back.
Happy Saturday. Welcome back to Your Questions, Your Money on the Fox Business Network. I'm Tracy Burns, along with my girl, Dagan McDowell.
877-249-9626 is the phone number, and the email is yourmoney@foxbusiness.com. Tracy Stern, not Tracy Burns, but Tracy Stern is our featured guest this hour, owner of Salon Tea. We were just, you could see the shot when we were coming in, admiring the packaging. Again, it's eye-grabbing. It's the pink and the brown, the orange and brown pops. It stands out. So we're here to tell you how you can stand out. We have a call from Charles in North Carolina. Hey, Charles, where are you calling from, and what do you want to know?
Well, we're calling from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Fabulous.
And I already own a business, and we're about 8 weeks out from opening a new one. Should I buy or lease equipment with the economy the way it is?
Charles, you got to tell us what kind of business it is.
Coffee house.
A coffee house?
Yes.
More equipment intensive than Tracy's business. Tracy, what do you tell him? Should he buy or lease equipment?
I say lease the equipment right now, because he doesn't know how, like, long term. I knew that I would have another store that if this one didn't work out, I would ship all the merchandise to the next one. But I have another location. So if this is your first time, I believe that you should lease the equipment.
John Rutledge in China, you always say, go take advantage of somebody else's bad, unfortunate times. There's got to be another coffee house closing shop. Maybe we could buy some used equipment that's still in good shape.
Absolutely. You know, there's a market for used equipment that'll be either eBay or Craigslist, and you can find most of what you want for probably a half or a third of the price of the new stuff. You'll also find vendors of the new stuff that'll be happy to finance it for you. But at this point, I'd rather lease than buy and protect my cash for that month or 2 months when it doesn't quite meet your expectations and you have enough cash to meet your bills. That way you're using the equipment guy's financing instead of your own.
We actually had a client that went to one of these auctions for a restaurant, was able to buy brand new equipment, less than a year old, for literally 10 to 20 cents on the dollar. It actually was more cost effective than leasing. So I agree with Sean. If you're going to pay full price, then lease it, save your capital. But there's so much opportunity out there right now, taking advantage of somebody else's heartache.
The one important thing that I forgot to mention of why you would lease it, as I know that you can purchase it at a less, you know, as they say, but the leasing, you get service. Okay, my machine will break down in the middle of the day. I'm not a mechanic, but I can call the leasing agent and say, your item that I just purchased or I'm leasing from you, please send someone down. You get the service, and that's the most beneficial for...
It's worth the cost.
Jeff, quickly, do you want to weigh in here again in terms of the businesses that you might be looking at now? Are you shying away from that are capital intensive or equipment intensive?
Yeah, we prefer to find businesses that really can scale quickly without requiring a lot of capital. Just for that reason, that capital's at a premium these days and can be expensive. And so that's why, I mean, you see so many businesses proliferating on the internet, is that they don't need the capital to go do it. It's very different from maybe 20 years ago when we'd be investing in businesses that were much more capital intensive. Now we're looking for businesses that can get started and expand with much less money.
Quick idea, when I opened a couple of tanning beds recently in California, lease the used equipment from the vendor. They've got equipment that was given back to them and they paid a small amount of money back, or it was returned to lease equipment. You can actually lease the used stuff and get both options. Get the used equipment for cheaper and lease it at the same time.
That's excellent.
Idea. Margaret has a question.
And guys, with a coffee bar, the one thing you can also do is bring in ancillary products on spec from sellers. You know, Starbucks is the #2 music seller in America because they've got CDs sitting in the coffee bar. You can get that stuff provided to you by people trying to sell it using your venue and then split the profits.
What a beautiful segue. Hold up your music CD.
Mm-hmm.
Sideways, turn.
Oh, there we go. Tea party music.
Again, Tracy's Salon Tea business knows no bounds. Music, beauty products. Do you sell teapots too, Tracy?
Yes, we just did a porcelain heirloom collection. We do that for wedding gifts and Mother's Day gifts. They're fantastic.
Again, the growth is limitless. Even, you know, it's about more than tea. Margaret has a question about a new idea she has and how to get started. I live in the Midwest with freezing winters. I have an idea to capture the heat and humidity vented from the clothes dryer in the basement, thereby saving billions of BTUs of wasted energy. I have an engineer working on it. What's my next step?
Bring it to Jersey.
Jeff, I want to know what you think about this, because you do venture funding, I'm assuming, later in the process. You don't do angel financing, I don't think, do you? But what do you tell us?
No.
Go ahead, Jeff.
So we don't do angel funding. I think the first thing that this person would have to do would be really to prove both the product efficacy of what she's doing, of capturing the excess heat or humidity, and really seeing if the product works. Is it effective? What can you do with it? Do the economics of it play out? And that would be the start right there. It sounds like she's still trying to prove out the core concept, and so she'd have to do that before she'd approach anybody on the outside.
Dani, you've had crazy ideas even as a teenager that you did execute.
Yeah, I've had crazy ideas just last week that I executed on.
Or just right now.
right now. You know, we had a problem with the solar panels, right, where they cost so much that it was like a 90-year ROI, and who the heck's going to stay in your home for 90 years? So I think that, to Jeff's point, you're going to have to make sure that you can prove that this is an efficient product and that there's a return on investment for the people that are going to buy it. Once you do that, I would grab a provisional patent if it's, you know, assuming this is a completely new idea. USPTO.gov, that was mentioned in the last hour. Provisional patent, rough sketch, rough idea that protects it. That way you can go out and find out what sort of interest is out there without the liability of somebody taking your idea.
But no idea is a bad idea,
No.
again, because you just let your mind work and
run with it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the beauty of small businesses, though, and I think that's why the whole thing is just so inspiring. And I know I was triggering down on you about the whole notion of tea, but just like this, you know, to keep warm, I could throw a blanket on me, but yet she has a better idea, and potentially it could really be a home run. So it's really about, Dagan said it, gumption, getting yourself out there.
And then creating a marketing strategy and a logo, a brand, a name, and trademark, all of that. That will follow after she goes through all the initial.
Well, and you came up with your logo. How did you come up with that?
Well, I collect, salon tea is a throwback to the salons in the 17th century in France, where a woman would open her home and entertain and bring musicians, poets, society, artists, and royalty. So it would be all walks of life, all people brought together under one roof. And that's how I name the characters of the tea. So if you come in and you can't decide which tea you love, you walk in the mirror, because there's 7 mirrors lined up, and if you see the musician and you fix your hair, you just identified because you looked at yourself in the musician mirror. And then you could go and proceed to the bar. And
it's like the fun house.
So much thought into
That's
this,
so
Tracy.
wonderful, though. All right. Well, if you have to run out, don't stop listening to this conversation, because it's riveting. Keep us on the radio, Sirius Channel 145 and XM 168.
We will be right back, everybody. This is the Fox Business Network, and we're here for you to take your questions about business, starting one, running one, being fired up. Who's fired up 24/7? Tracy Burns. I'm Dagan McDowell, my buddy, my pal.
But this is your last chance to call us. You have about 18 minutes. Get your calls in, 877-249-9626. Or you can email us yourmoney@foxbusiness.com.
We have a call. Justin is down in Florida. Justin, go ahead, ask your question.
Hi, I'm a first-time filmmaker. I made a full-length feature film, and I'm trying to identify my target market. I've had some screenings. I've got some really good press and film festivals, and I'm just missing getting the right group of people to see the movie so I can sell the movie to a distributor.
John, this sounds like I'm going to toss it to John Rutledge, because, John, you've been in so many businesses. I know that you have insight on how to do this.
You know, you'd have to help me there, Dana, or Dagan. I had a little trouble with the audio. Can you give me the question again?
Justin is actually still on the phone with us. We lost Justin. Justin has a film, a feature-length film that he has made, and that he's shown it at a few film festivals, but he wants to know how to get it out there, in essence, to find distribution for it.
And I think the industry guys, which I'm not one, would be the best sources. So I wish I could be more help on that.
Or gals, Tracy, because he's made this film. So what's the next step? Because, again, getting it into more and more festivals, perhaps, so he can get it in front of distributors.
Okay, well, I do everything in a creative approach, probably non-traditional, but I would make it a movement. He could hit all the college universities, paint a van or a minivan, show up at, I also showed my tea, oh gosh, what's the festival?
Sundance?
Sundance. I was at Sundance, and the people who got their name out there were the ones handing stuff out on the street to the celebrities, the stars.
Oh, because all they want is the swag.
All they want is the swag. But these people went another step further. They didn't have the booths and pay for the VIP booths. I was in a VIP booth handing out tea, but they were out on the street handing out, like a teaser, had a great T-shirt on, a great hat, had people lining up and down the street, had girls. I mean, it depends on what the movie is, if it's serious or whatever, but you have to find a creative way to market, but it has to be to the right audience. I'm assuming because he's young, it could be a college movement, but create a movement and hit all the major...
The internet,
and the internet, hit it, put up teaser on YouTube.
I was going to say
clips on YouTube,
right.
MySpace videos and so on, and use the specific keywords that allow people to find it.
Again, if you attract an audience on YouTube, you know what? The people come a running, including the money and the distributorship. Those are just some ideas.
It's amazing. I mean, they're putting a symphony together now via YouTube.
And another great thing is something that you mentioned before. Have your friends that have seen the movie and loved the movie, put it on Twitter and say, I just saw the best movie I've ever seen in my life, blah, 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 that's the movie. And the word gets out there. You know what? You have to get the word out there, the name out there, and that's how someone picks it up.
Justin, I hope that was helpful. Ted from Washington State's looking for funding opportunities. He said, I'm president of a small business and am looking for funding growth opportunities. My question is, what do investors look for in terms of rate of investment or PE ratios in order to offer growth funding? Jeff, I want to toss this out to you. It's kind of a broad question, but if you want to narrow it down at all.
Sure. Yeah. No. It is a broad question, and the answer can vary considerably depending upon the business.
You can give some examples if you want to. I mean, you know, feel free to kind of take this one and run with it.
Sure. So, I mean, it really it depends on the nature of the business and what the anticipated growth rate and what the exit is going to be for some investor. And so the investor is going to be looking at whether this is a business that's going to generate cash over time and pay out dividends to the investor. And so therefore, what's their dividend rate going to be? And I think it would have to be, you know, 15%. That's what an investor, I think, would think about. Or is it something where the owner of the business is going to think about selling the business downstream, and that's how the investor would get the exit. And then the investor would look again for an internal rate of return that might be 20 or 30%, and or a cash-on-cash return, whether they're going to sell the business maybe for 50%, 100% more than what they put in, again, depending upon the time frame. And so those are the kinds of general metrics that certainly an institutional investor, a venture capital firm, would look at. But it really depends a lot. You'd have to ask a lot more questions of the entrepreneur to understand just what his plans for the business were going to be.
Jeff, what does it take to get in front of you? What does it take for someone to actually, like, get in the middle of your conference room with their big idea to make that big presentation? I mean, aside from calling here and being part of the pitch.
Or harassing you in front of the building.
Right, standing outside your apartment building.
Just kidding.
Well, how would someone go about pitching an idea to you?
Well, honestly, the best way to get in front of a venture capital firm is going to be through a referral. We get hundreds and literally thousands of business plans a year. And just to kind of run you through the math, if we got 100 business plans, we might end up, we'll review all of them. We might end up with a meeting with 10 to 20 of them a first time, meeting with a few of them a second time, and end up investing in one of them.
Wow.
So you can see the odds are pretty long. But the way to really get our attention is if somebody who we know and we trust, their judgment, if they refer to us, the entrepreneur, and said, listen, I know this individual, they've got a great track record, they've got a wonderful idea, I really think you should take a look at it. We trust the judgment of that referral, the person who's doing the referring, then we'll take a look at it. Much better way to get our attention than to just mail a business plan in and have something come in over the transom.
All about networking.
Again, there's some themes that develop, whether you're in venture capital and trying to get funding that way. Tracy Stern is here. She's talking about the same thing in terms of building a brand and getting in front of people. Stay with us. You're in front of us. We will be right back. Your money. It's what it's about here at foxbusiness.com.
All right, we got to go right to the phones. We have all these fabulous entrepreneurial questions. We got Jeff from Utah. Hey, Jeff, what's your question?
Hi, I was wondering, I want to increase my my sales. I have trouble converting from, oh, that is really good, to how many can I buy?
Can you tell us what you sell? What business are you in?
It is a frozen food product. It's called a pasty. Originates in England.
Oh, I know pasties, Cornish pasties.
Yes.
What is it? For those of us who don't know English, grub.
It's a hot pocket.
Pretty much. It is beef, pork, potatoes, salt and pepper, onion, encased in a pie dough crust.
Oh, so it's like a pot pie.
It was the original portable sandwich that, was it miners?
Yes. The 10 miners in England actually ate them. They would actually use them, they put them in their pockets, use them to keep their hands warm.
Right.
They were superstitious, and they would eat, they would leave just the part that was pinched down with their hands. They'd leave that part for the, I don't know, the devil or whatever in the mines. And they also would only hold on to that part of it because of arsenic in the mines.
So you want to know how to get this out there more?
And who's he trying to sell?
Yeah, who are you selling it to?
I'm trying everybody, but probably the target market would be construction.
Okay.
So like on the hot dog stands?
So he needs a truck. He needs to go out there and hit all the local areas and hand out mailers and go to all the places that they frequent. So if they're pulling up to the garage to fill up their gas truck before they go to work, you need to hit that garage place and hand out your cards and be there and work out something, some kind of location.
Is he looking for bigger,
or a bigger distribution?
Yeah. How about the food trucks themselves?
Yes.
I mean, go to the distributor that feeds into the food trucks and say, hey, try this product. You know, you might have to freeze some of it out, put it on the stand there for them, but try not.
Yeah, because, John, there's a territorial thing with those food truck guys. I grew up, my family's been in construction, concrete. I grew up on those sites. Those guys get very territorial. He could probably get into the trucks instead. Maybe that's a better way to go?
Could well be. And, you know, there's also sometimes in these mobile delivery food systems, there are licensing issues in the local municipality you got to watch out for. But I think that finding the places to deliver, but a second market might be taking those pasties, putting them in boxes and drop shipping them to other places in other towns. There are distribution systems that are now set up to do micro brand distribution. We had the CEO of Overstock.com on the show one weekend.
Yep.
They can do that. We talked about a website called Foodsy, where you're basically selling case lots of food. And there are entrepreneurs like you in other cities where I think barter, where you can help them to distribute their product in your town and vice versa, can also help distribution.
What about college kids?
And literally,
I think college is a good area.
College, and also, you know, targeting local supermarkets. I mean, you know, getting into a Whole Foods is not impossible. I mean, that's essentially I believe it was Wild Oats, where Honest Tea, speaking of Tracy's business, they literally brewed up a batch. We had Fizzy Lizzy. She did a test batch and literally just carried it down the street. And again, if you start building, you can build it individual by individual, or just take it to the organizations that'll sell it, like your supermarket.
I didn't even realize that he wanted wholesale distribution, but I know for myself, I've always been in international sales. I walked into New York in Food Emporium and I said, I really want to be here. And I walked in there and I said, who can I speak with? Can I get the card? I sent them an email. I sent them product. They said, we're not looking at anyone new. We never heard of you. I said, you only never heard of me because I've been international. I sent him my press kit. I sent him all the products. He said, I'll meet with you. I went there. I cut a deal where I actually had the full window for 5 months. So everyone thought I was opening a space. That was free space for me where I created that. I went in there on a Saturday on the snowiest day. I tried to get out of it. But I started pouring tea, and I ended up selling 20 books, 20 canisters of tea, and then I got in other distribution. They put me in the other stores.
Before we get to go, Jeff, any final words just for everybody out there who's listening?
Well, I just love the creativity that I've heard today. Everything from laser tanks to, I think, you know, high-end tea with disco balls. I mean, it's just the creativity of the American people. And frankly, entrepreneurs around the world really never ceases to amaze me. So my word is, if you've got a great idea out there, go for it. I think this is really a great time to be going for it, because I think the economy is going to be poised to come back over the next several years, and I think this is an excellent time to be starting a business.
Danny, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, I've got the top 7 reasons here why you should start a business in a recession. We have to remember, companies like Kinko's, $5,000, a C+ student who had dyslexia, you know, that started in an old hot dog stand. And these types of businesses can start organically and grow and become huge. And we have to remember that it's all about doing what you love. And if you can translate that into dollars, more power to you.
These are the themes that we're going to keep hitting on week after week. We're going to be here for you every Saturday, so, you know, we'll be here again next Saturday.
Bring us your ideas.
Thanks to Tracy Stern of Salon Tea, Dominic Tavella, Dani Babb's here every week, along with John Rutledge, who joins us even from Asia, and then Jeff Crow from Norwest Venture Partners. Thank you, everybody.
See you next week.
We'll be back Monday morning.
Yes,
Tracy.